Right now, I'm just logged into my account and I'm looking at example.com. And what I'm going to do is flip over to the zone settings tab. So this is where you'll be able to enable your dedicated network once it's been deployed by our team. It'll be just a matter of checking a box. Every network has a specific network number assigned to it. So in the portal, if you want to assign a zone to the network, you just check this box here, and via API, you'll just have to include that specific network number in that API call. So now that I've checked this box, I'll just go ahead and hit save. And if you go over to the name servers tab, you'll notice there's an additional set of name servers here. So these four are for the managed network that have been assigned to this zone. And these additional four are going to be the ones for the dedicated network. We normally ask you to provide a host name, so it can be random, and we'll actually give you IPv4 and V6 addresses to correlate with the name servers once it's been built out. So if I go over to the records section, you can see some of the DNS records I have inside this zone. I can just look at this one, for example, just points to a few different IP addresses. And for example's sake, I'm just going to give this one a query against our managed network. So you'll see I get a response back from it. And if I were to query against a dedicated network as well, we can do NS1.routetronic.com. You see we get the IP address back too. So you're able to get a response back from either one of the name servers at any given time. Typically, the managed network will take 60% of the queries just because of the larger footprint. But again, you'll be able to get a timely response from any one of them at any given point inside the network. So going back into the zone section, that should have given an idea of how to actually get your zones on the managed and dedicated. But for certain scenarios where you may want to take advantage of NS1 as a secondary, that's something that we can accommodate as well. When you're creating your zone, you're just going to go ahead and give it a name and click onto the secondary zone tab here. You'll want to put the zone on the managed network, and then this is where you'll enter in the AXFR IP address of the authoritative DNS system for the zone today. We'll just need to whitelist them, and you'll have to whitelist our AXFR IP address, and then we'll be able to pull in that zone information programmatically. We do support the enabling of TSIG, so you can have those zone transfers signed. And if that authoritative provider does have, multiple servers available, you can enable additional primaries, as a backup. So just to give you a good idea of what a secondary zone would look like inside the account, you'll see your records that have been loaded in. Of course, you can't modify these because it's a secondary zone. But in terms of details, you'll get an idea of the status. If this were to fail, I would get an indication of why, along with the time of day of the last sync here. So just some additional configuration settings that you can set up here. We do also support outgoing transfers. So if you wanted us to be the authoritative primary server along with another administrative system that would be pulling from us, you can simply just supply their AXFR IP address, and we can send over, DNS zone transfers anytime a change is made, and that can be done based off of notify. So we will send out a notify anytime a change is made in our system. So that goes over the simple ways that you can set up a secondary zone in our system, as well as set up our system to be a primary to another DNS system, as well as getting into the dedicated networks.